Today is October 16th. The ALCS started last night and NL tonight, and like every October, storylines galore. Can be dry for Buccos fans, but this one in particular we can take part in. It's the Bridge to Buctober podcast. Let's go. Yins, guys. Thank you for listening to the Bridge to Buctober podcast, where we talk all about them Pittsburgh Pirates and that. My name is Josh, and I'm joined as always by my brother Jake. What's up, Jake?
Hey, man. How's it going?
I almost went for it.
What's
up?
What's up?
It's ridiculous how many times I call you and we go there.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, like, that's one of those things that just never left that commercial. Never left. No. Dude, we've got a lot to talk about today.
Yeah.
A lot of really cool things, for me, anyway. I like kind of jumping in and talking about the postseason and general baseball from time to time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So the Braves series ends, right?
Oh, we gotta hear this.
Wife had to be at work. She's at work. As soon as the out's made, I get a phone call. It's FaceTime. Boom. I was like, "Hey, you calling to say raise it?" She said, "I just want to be a little clear on what I meant."
Oh,
I was like, backpedaling. We backpedaling. She said, I will be a Pirates fan, which means I won't say anything negative about the Pirates next year. But I'm still going to be a Braves fan too." I was like, "Yeah, but they're your number 2 team next year." "No, I'm going to root for the Pirates to win." I was like, "Yeah, I feel like you're backpedaling a little." Either way, I don't care. I'm winning. I still win the going to the Pirates home opener rather than the Braves home opener. So
yeah. Ultimately, that's a big win.
Yeah, that's the biggest win.
Yeah. I wondered how that was going to play out. But
like immediately FaceTime.
Yeah, you did see that I cut that up and posted it, right?
No, I didn't.
Yeah. I cut that up. So it's on the internet. I mean, it was already on the internet, but it's specifically on the internet. So that's awesome. Well, let's see. A couple things here. Buck's old friend Jeff Bannister, coaching with the D-backs right now. He's headed to the NLCS. As we saw, the Diamondbacks are going up against the Philadelphia Phillies in the NLCS this year. That starts, it's Monday, right? It's Monday. That starts tonight. 2 wild card teams trying to make their way to the World Series. Another little preview there of what we're going to talk about. In the AL, it's Banny's old team, the wild card Texas Rangers, will play their in-state Texas state rivals and in-division rivals, the Houston Astros, who are playing in their 7th straight championship series. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. That one started Sunday night. So just as a precursor, I guess, to the episode here, we are recording this on Saturday night. We always got to say that, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're recording this on Saturday night, so we don't know what happened on Sunday night for the first game. So it's Verlander going up against Montgomery, who I said in last week's show, if you didn't listen to last week's show, there's 2 of them to listen to. There's ours, having the guys from Michael and Ed from 412 Double Play podcast on our episode, and then it was a 2-parter. We also were on their episode. And so we did a recap. We did a forward-looking episode. If you didn't get a chance to listen to either of those 2, go back, listen to them on, 1.5 speed or whatever. Get caught up. So I did say that Jordan Montgomery should be a target. And I'm sure we'll talk about that further on. Before we get into what we're going to talk about, we are going to talk. Let's just say this. We're going to talk about the postseason in general. And some other things too. Actually, some other things too. I have it in my notes here. I'm having a hard time finding it. Playoff format, 162 game season, roster strategies, what we can expect from the Pirates and other teams to build a team for an upcoming season, just in general. Having those types of discussions, what moves to make, what not to make, stuff like that. And what does a good season look like? And how many teams get an opportunity to have a good season? Some serious baseball talk tonight. I'm so excited about this. And stick around, honestly. I like this conversation. And there are other people having this conversation as well. If you guys listen to a lot of different Pirates podcasts, by the way, we had 412 on last week. Cool dudes. First time we've gotten an opportunity to really interact with them.
Mm-hmm.
I say 1-to-1, but I guess 2-to-2. But cool dudes. We've got I don't know what other fan bases have as far as podcasts and a podcast community, but for a team like the Pirates, who, not recent rich history,
sure,
rich history, not so much recent. We've got a pretty good community of podcasts. It's pretty cool. Anyway, we didn't know if we were going to talk about this stuff because it is national. It's getting some buzz. It's also getting some conversations even in our little community of podcasts. NS9 Live had a discussion Wednesday night about it. Gary and Jim on the fan forum talked about it on their show this week. And they each had their ways that they went about kind of talking about it. So we wanted to kind of have our conversation about it too. And it goes back to the complaints or the concerns about the postseason structure in general. And I think we can I think the conversation is already out there, right? So I think most of you who are listening, you probably already know what's going on. It starts with the conversation around the Braves, the Dodgers, and the Orioles getting bounced with a total of 1 win among all 3 teams. The Astros were the other team with a first-round bye. And so all the questions start. And it started last year, and it continued this year and really kind of amplified this year because there are 3 teams that won 100 games, and they're all out in the first round. And only 1 game amongst the 3 was won. Anyway. But I would say this also stretches our part of the conversation here. It's also going to stretch into San Diego and New York Mets not even making the postseason. We're going to get into the postseason structure as a whole. We'll get into that later. But for now, I want to focus on the discussion about going all in. And this goes, San Diego and New York Mets going all in versus maybe what was said in Seattle about winning 54% of their games over a 10-year span and what that looks like. And I don't think we really had that. Did we have that discussion last week? I know we kind of we touched on it, but I don't think we went into it because we had so much that we were talking about. But if you don't know about that, look it up. It's Seattle, Jerry DiPoto, what's his name? Kyle Raleigh had a comment about we didn't go all in kind of a thing. And then that was a response. There's been an apology, all that stuff. I think it's all kind of, but they're never going to forget about that.
Right.
But we're going to kind of start here and get a couple things out of the way here. Because we do have to set some things up on where we're going to go with our conversation here. And I'll ask you first, do you think that the extended layoff or the break affects the teams who've had a first-round bye? Is it actually a disadvantage?
And I've thought about this multiple different times, and my initial reaction is absolutely. Your timing gets off. you're playing simulated games. You're trying, you're doing what you can, but it's just not the same.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like, I see what other people are saying, like, rest, get your guys healthy. The biggest part of it for me isn't the fact that they have had this layoff or this so-called break. The biggest aspect of it for me is the team that is coming in to that series is riding momentum already. They already got a chance to get that postseason started and get that momentum going forward. And you got to try to just hit the ground running with this team that has all the momentum.
Those are
tough.
literally the two things that I have on my list of, like, you lose the speed of the game. How did you word it? Because that's how I wanted to word it.
The timing and the
time, yeah, things like that. But the speed of the game in general, which timing is really a lot of that, and the momentum that the team coming in gets. And I will say this: the speed of the game, your timing as far as hitting,
right.
You can still get that. Live BP, you can get that. Not even, you know what I mean? So for me, it's the speed of the game, the way that a game goes, but it's also like the feel of a game. That I wonder, by playing simulated games, are you kind of saying like, wow, we're back to spring training, and maybe get lackadaisical because of it?
Right.
You can't recreate atmosphere. I wonder if the simulated games is actually maybe a bad move for that reason, because you kind of play some relaxed games where maybe you shouldn't do that. For the momentum, I'll argue, like, that's on you, man. How do you not? Momentum is psychological. How do you not create a narrative in your clubhouse to keep momentum, to feel good that, like, we put ourselves in this situation? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think there has to be, and that's maybe something that needs to be learned. Somebody's got to figure out that secret sauce, right? But for me, it is totally outweighed by getting rest. You got a little soreness. I mean, we just went through August and September. You know what I'm saying? Like, give me some rest. I will take it, especially because these teams that won 100 games, they were pushing. You don't win 100 games and take 2 weeks off at the end of the year. Like, you probably kept playing. You may have given some rest, but use that rest, that soreness, any injuries that you have that maybe you weren't going to have a guy, but now you have a guy. But to me, the two biggest things are you get to line up your starting pitching. And the problem with Atlanta and with LA, the Dodgers, is their starters didn't perform. Specifically Strider, Kershaw. I mean, everybody for the Dodgers. But you know what I'm saying? Like, they didn't come out and do their job. And maybe the hitters being out of that timing means I can't come back from a 6-run deficit in the first inning. But the problem is you had the opportunity to not have that. Because pitching, the speed of the game, and you can attest to this, pitching is nothing but a benefit for having days off. There is absolutely zero, like, yeah, but I'm not in the field for it. No. You're a pitcher and you pitch 30 starts, you want rest.
Yeah.
And so 100% lining up that starting pitch. But the biggest thing for me is if I get a bye, I have a 100% chance of making it to the division series. And if I don't, I only have a 50% chance. I will take 100% chance of getting into that next round 100% of the time before I would choose to not have a bye. Like, you're just setting yourself up to be at a disadvantage, because what if you don't make it?
I get that. But I mean, I don't know.
Who were the two division winners? Okay, to be fair, the Twins did make it to the next round. But the Brewers did not.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so And quite frankly, I didn't think the Twins were going to. I thought the Blue Jays would beat the Twins. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So technically, the better team in that series still didn't make it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, the Brewers had more wins than the Diamondbacks, and the Diamondbacks moved on. And the Blue Jays had more wins than the Twins, and the Twins moved on. So, yeah, you're not guaranteed that division series.
Right.
And anything can happen in a 3-game series. Anything can happen in a 5-game series. Like that, we'll get into that. So I can see that. And I'm not asking you to change your mind here. I'm just saying, like, I actually don't think it's a disadvantage. I think it's always an advantage to just be in the next spot, to have your starters lined up, and they have to perform in a tournament. And that's all it is. That's all there is to it. Is there a problem with how many teams are in the postseason? Let's just go there. We know that will never change. Once you do it, they're there. You'll never get them back. Everything is always worth a discussion to me. That's what sports are for, so we can have discussions about it. So knowing that they can never go back, I just want to know your quick opinion here. Did we take it one team too far or two teams too far when we added the second wild card?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're already there. I'll ask one more that I'm gonna throw into here just for you. And this is a quick one, so we can move into this. Do you have a problem with the format right now? And like simply, because we'll talk about it, but simply yes or no. Like, do you actually say, yeah, I have a problem with it?
Yeah.
You do? Okay. I actually don't. I think it's been really fun. I think it's exciting. And maybe as we get into this, because I've got some things, maybe as we get into this, you might say, if they did that, I won't have a problem with it. But we'll see. I don't know. Because there are some things that I will say in this. And just to see, I will ask you this, though. Is it better than the 1-game wild card?
Yeah.
Okay. Any Pirate fan who doesn't say yeah, I question your fandom. If you think that you'd rather a 100-team win get a bye than playing that. We were better than the Giants and the Cubs those years. I'll just say that.
Yeah. We
were better. Okay, so let's talk about 54%, and I'm just using that as a buzzword, versus going all in. All of this postseason stuff kind of opens the situation where teams know that if they can aim for 85 wins with their roster constructions, or 54%, which is actually like 87%, which is 87 wins. I mean, but that 54% was over a 10-year period. His quote,
Yeah.
But they can keep that roster and that goal year in and year out. 85 wins. 85 wins. That's our goal. With never going for it. And like, meaning going for it like within a window, right? And then going all in, cashing all your chips, all that, whatever all the cliches are. If we have a good year, we're closer to 90 wins and we get in. If we have a bad year, we're closer to 500 and we don't get in, versus we got a chance. Let's go. Our window's opening. Let's sign 3 major free agents this offseason and let's go all in, right? Or deadline, boom, Shohei. You know what I'm saying? Like, as an example.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at a couple of these things here for the fans. If you say 54%, let's just go down that path. We all know what it means to go all in. That's what we all, it's what we understand what that means. But for the fans, they get to see if they go that way, they do this 85 win, this 54%, all this stuff. They get to see a competitive team all summer, every summer. If things go well, you have a shot at a World Series sooner or later. Is this okay? I'll ask. Let me take it one step here. before you answer, just so I can kind of go there. Would you like the Pirates to compete every single year, but refuse to buy to open that serious window? And I'll say this, because I know I'm putting you on the spot to answer all the questions first, and I will probably keep doing it. So I want to jump in here and give you a little. I'm kind of undecided on this right now, so I don't really know where I'm at, and I want to put that out there first, as I'm not trying to convince anybody of anything. This is just the discussion. Even if you open a window and you screw up your system and your situation to make a big push, you spend so much money that maybe they have to back. I don't really understand. Spending money to me is like that. It's not like you have to back that money back down later. Like if you spend money and you win games, you're going to have more people and you're going to sell more. You know what I mean? Like you should be able to sustain that.
Right.
However, we do know that the A's were in the red for a long time. So maybe the Pirates would be too. I don't know. But the thing is the big thing is like making those trades, dumping your whole system and you know what I mean? And not having anything after that. There's no guarantee of anything. The Padres and the Mets they were basically bad teams this year. Now, I mean, the Padres had a little run late, right? But you get the point. The Angels have had 2 of the top 5 players in the game on their team year in and year out, and they can't even get in the postseason. So sometimes I wonder, like what it means and what your definition of going all in really is and how you push for that. I asked this question to Katie earlier today. I just wanted to know, like, somebody who's not sitting here looking at the stuff that we look at all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she actually said she'd rather see good baseball every year with a chance for something special to happen in any given year. She said that's what she would prefer because she's like, I hate in July being like, yeah, but we're rebuilding, so we'll get better in 3 years. And she's like, I don't like that. I'd much rather be like, hey, we're playing good baseball. Maybe we get hot. Maybe there's like a small piece we can add. We're a little bit down this year because O'Neal Cruz got hurt. But hey, we got a guy putting together a season like Corbin Carroll just put together. You know what I'm saying? The way that he made an impact on this team. Things like that. And then just have that ebbs and flows of, we never actually go all in. But like, dude, the Diamondbacks won 84 games this year. They haven't lost yet.
Right.
Jim on the Pirates fan forum would rather see a team make a serious push. Open a window, put all your chips in, go all in, and then rebuild later. And I will say this. If you do that, you will need to rebuild later.
Right.
There is no possible, and say what you want, there's no way to do it without that. There's no way to do the window thing without doing the rebuild thing. It will happen.
Right.
Some teams have the financial resources to make that window bigger. But the Astros, we just said 7 straight, they did the rebuild. They were really bad for 4 or 5 years. The Orioles just won 100. We talk about them all the time. And so on. So now, where are you at? Do you have a preference? Are you still torn?
I'm a little bit torn. I think I'd rather see competitive baseball year in, year out. I don't. Oh boy, I'm having a Charlie horse right now. Played some softball tonight. It feels great, but I'm gonna power through this and say that depends on your definition of all in.
Okay.
Because no, I'm not selling the farm.
Yeah.
And setting myself back that far. But at the same time, making additions is definitely in the cards.
So the Pirates right now, as far as what we can see, now we don't know. We know that Neil Huntington was all about sustainability. He wants to be a good team year in and year out. He never wanted to send all our pieces away, but he also never really went out and added a bunch. And he tried to keep people here. He tried to keep a consistent window open and hope that we get hot.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know what Sherrington's necessarily going to do, but right now, just like any GM taking over in a position like this, they're going to rebuild first. Because if he thinks that he can accomplish that, he probably doesn't think he can accomplish it yet. He's going to have to build it first.
Right.
And so right now, it appears the Pirates are drought and window, like rebuild, open a window, rebuild, open a window. The first rebuild took 20 years. We get that. But we opened a window in 13, 14, and 15. And this team, with Huntington there, they went for it. They made trades at the deadline. They went out and they signed a Russell Martin for 2 or 3 years. They went out and got A.J. Burnett. They traded for Marlon Byrd and Morneau down the line. And yes, even the terrible Chris Archer trade, in the minds of the people who made the trade, thought that that was a push. You know what I'm saying? They thought that that was a move that was going to put them up, not down. And you can say like that's wild, but they didn't think in their heads when they made this trade. They were like, "I'm hoping I crush everything here. I'm hoping that we destroy this organization." No, they really believed in it. It was bad evaluation, bad execution, right? However, they believed in it when they did it, and they did it for a reason, to push, to actually build the team up. And like I said, you can disagree with it, but that's the reason. And so that's kind of like, do you agree that the Pirates went for it, or was it like, they pretended to go for it? You know what I mean?
I mean, I think they went for it for sure. I mean, if you're willing to part ways with a guy like Austin Meadows, who didn't turn out to be the player in the long run that we all thought he was going to be, but we were very high on Austin Meadows.
Yeah.
And he was for a minute. He was a very good player.
He still had 30 homers. You know what I'm saying?
Right. But I mean, they obviously thought there was more to Chris Archer than what there was.
Right.
In their mind, they were going for it. Did it come back and completely bite us in the butt? Absolutely. It was a terrible trade. Don't trade with the Rays. It's just, but I think they were going for it. I think they were making that push, trying to get the right guys. Didn't pan out. And that's my problem with going all in, is if you are wrong, you blew it up for nothing.
Yeah. So let's go one step further. Dodgers, Braves, and Orioles won 100 games. One and done. The Dodgers and Braves did this for the second straight season. Last year, the Yankees, who won 99, topped the Guardians, and they were beat by the 106 win Astros, obviously, because they won the World Series. The Mets won the wild card. No, the Mets won the wild card, but they won 101 games and were bounced in the first round, right, with the 101 Braves. You know what I mean? The Rays won 86 games. They were the new bottom wild card team. Last year was the same format. They were the new bottom wild card team. And if they would have done this 1 year before they did it, the Reds would have been in with 83 wins. So what does all that mean? 50% of the teams who got a bye did not move on last season. So 50% did too. See, this year only 25% moved on. Do we care? Do we care that those teams didn't move on?
I mean, kind of.
Why?
You got to show up and you got to play the games, and that's what baseball is. And that's why baseball is just a little bit different than most of the other sports, because anything can happen on any day.
Yeah,
which can happen in the other sports, but
right.
It's less often.
I get it. But but that's any of them. You got to show up and play the games.
You want to see the best teams at the end of the season.
Okay. And that's going to be, that was something that that Jim Rosati said on NS9 Live. He said the same sort of thing. He's like, yeah, you get these Cinderella teams in March Madness, and I'll get to that later, but But then in the end, you end up with these two teams that maybe aren't premier matchups. You know what I'm saying? I actually don't care. And I don't care because that's how this works.
Right.
Because we understand that this is what tournament, and I'm going to use that word intentionally. I know it's a playoff or it's the postseason, but I'm going to use the word tournament because that's what this is. And a tournament, you could play with the same exact teams. You could play it 10 times, and there will be different results all the way through. That's just the way it goes. That's a tournament style thing, and that's everybody. Every sport does that. But that's how this works. Less than a month ago, the Kansas City Royals went to Houston and swept the Astros. And that was just 5 days after the Astros beat the Royals in Kansas City in Game 3 to avoid being swept by the Royals. So you're talking about a matter of 8 days or whatever. They lost 5 out of 6 to the Royals.
Yeah.
And the Astros are clearly a better team. You know what I'm saying? But that's it. Who cares? Play better, they say, which is the ridiculous argument, this whole thing. You don't like being bounced in the first round, play better. And I think that's kind of dumb because, and that's not dumb. It's not, I know that people are going to say that, but the truth of the matter is they did play better. They've already played better. We have a 162 game season to decide who's better.
Yeah.
And the Royals lost 100 games and the Astros won 90. Okay. The Astros did play better than the Royals. But this is a tournament. And this is what happens in a tournament. The postseason is like that. I don't feel bad for 100-win teams getting beat by 85-win teams because it happens a lot. The Royals lost 106. I have it written here. They lost 106 this year. But technically, in September, they won a series against Chicago in Chicago. Then they hosted the Astros and won that series. Then they swept Cleveland, went to Houston and swept the Astros. That's 4 straight series that the Royals, the 106-loss Royals, 4 straight. Now, not all of those are playoff caliber teams, but technically, if you let the Royals into this playoff, they have a chance of actually doing that and going far. Even a 106-loss team, all they have to do is get hot. They have a chance. You put the Pirates in this bracket, and they have a chance of doing this. Play this out 10 times. Maybe one of them, they go all the way, but at least in one of those, they'll make a run.
Yeah.
Because that's just baseball. So let's talk about the postseason. Let's talk about 162. Random, right? Crapshoot. All these things that people are talking about the postseason. In my opinion, getting into this tournament should be a reward. A secondary chance for those teams who just missed being the best team to take a shot for some glory. Say they had an injury that lost them a few games under the team that finished ahead of them or something like that. Yeah. Now they get a chance to win something that they didn't win in the regular season. Instead, baseball, largely because of our culture, has adopted the format of other sports where the World Series is the season instead of the postseason. And do I not like it? I guess is the next. No, I actually think it's awesome. I love the postseason. Yeah. I will say though, we already know who the best teams are. The best teams are the Braves and the Orioles. Those are the best teams. Mm-hmm. Both of them got dipped in the first or got lost in the first round, but they are already the best teams. We don't have to have that discussion. 162 games decide that for us because you have to do it. And we're only saying they were the best teams in 2023. Nobody can tell you, well, on paper, this is the best team. Well, that's an opinion because in 2023, the Braves and the Orioles were the best teams. They had the best season, right? Now, somebody else will have the best postseason. Mm-hmm. So I'm not changing anything about the tournament itself. It's great. I've been enjoying even all the sweeps in the first round is like, yeah, but it's 3 games. Like, it's fine.
Right.
So for one reason, it won't change. We know it won't change. But 2, I just think it's awesome. I will say this, though. Something should change in how we celebrate and award the teams who've won the NL and AL. And they should be crowned the best team in the NL and AL, respectively.
Right.
I think the World Series does not have to be downplayed, right? Both are awesome. We have to boost the recognition of the team who wins the most games in the regular season. You get to hang a banner saying you were the best team. Not just I won my division. No. You won the National League regular season. I'm sure that there are smart people who will figure out a really cool way to say it. But they've got to do it. There's a regular season champ and a postseason champ.
Yeah.
And I think
I agree with that.
I think that's a great thing, because you might say, even in the regular season, you might say, man, if we didn't have to go those 2 months without our 3-hitter, we probably could have finished ahead of those guys. I want one more chance. Now that he's healthy, I want one more chance for glory. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think it would even further amplify a team who wins both ends of that. The thing is like, if you think about it, baseball was National League, American League. And you got to the end, and the team who had the most wins won. They won the pennant.
Yeah.
It was over. And they were the best team. And then they were like, wouldn't this be really cool if the winner of your league and the winner of our league got together for a world's championship? Right? Mm-hmm. And they played, what, a 9-game World Series. World's Series, right? They threw the S in there. Apostrophe S. And the thing is like, that was really fun and cool. Those teams were already the champs of the American League, of the National League, right?
Right.
So then it got to a point where we said, okay, we've got an East and a West, and you're going to win the East or the West and then play a National League Championship Series. We like this series. It's good for fans. It's good for drama. And the fact that like these other sports are doing these tournaments. And so baseball's like, people really like these things. So we're going to start doing it, right? Why not? Mm-hmm. That's how you grow the game. I'm for it. And so they do it. They have a national, the Pirates were back playing the Reds and the Braves of the West in the championship series to see who goes to the World Series. And that's probably when it started, right? Although I do think that if you won that championship series and you won the pennant, winning the pennant was a big deal.
As it should be.
But now winning the pennant still is encapsulated in the tournament. And you've got to make it through 3 rounds before you're a pennant winner, right? And I really think that the regular season, maybe that should be who wins the pennant. The Braves and the Orioles won the pennant this year. Now, we have a postseason tournament that happens after the regular season. That's why it's called the postseason, not a playoff. Right. It is a playoff, right? But we call it the postseason. And like I said, that's changed over the years because of what we've adopted and and like I said, I still like it all. Yeah, but I'm just trying to find a way that if we're going to keep playing 162, these other sports play 80. These other sports play 17 games. Mm-hmm. You could very easily, specifically in the NFL, like you could very easily say like, oh, well, our quarterback was hurt for 4 weeks, so we snuck into the playoffs this year. You know what I'm saying? But then you made your run and you said, yeah, but I think we were that good all year, but we just didn't, we didn't do it. And there's so many things that can happen in a matter of 17 games that could change your whole season. Like, oh, we were way better than 9-7 or whatever it would be now. 9-8, 10-8, 10-7. My goodness, 10-7. Let's go that. We were way better than. Yeah, math is. Well, I'm just so used to the 16-game season that I get confused. Anyway,
right.
Old dog, new tricks, right? 10-7, we're way better than a 10-7 team, but we had this. You know what I mean? In baseball, those things just kind of work themselves out. Just like the Pirates started 20-8. They're not a 20-8 team. It works itself out. There's enough games that it works itself out. And I just think if you're going to keep putting teams in, then just don't play 162. Take it down to 130.
Who wants that to happen?
Well, they can't because of records. They can't do it.
Right.
But you're devaluing that 162. It is no longer important.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so that's what's creating this. All we have to do is get in, man. We don't have to go all in. All we have to do is get in, because ultimately there's only one team that wins. And that's what I said at the beginning. How many teams actually get an opportunity to have a good year? Did the Braves have a good year? What do Braves fans think? I mean, there are probably half of them are like, yeah, we had a great year, man. Just missed out at the end. And the other half's like, no, championship or bust.
So, like, a lot of them are getting used to this. I'm basically living in Braves country now. And there's a lot of Braves fans who like, yeah, we'll win 100 games and then we're going to lose in the first round. They're just getting used to it. And it's, I don't know, kind of sad.
It's not sad. I mean, they're still a great team. They're winning 100 games.
Right. No, I mean, it's kind of sad that the fan base is just like, I mean, this is what happens.
Well, yeah, I guess if they're mad about it, you know what I'm saying? If they're like, yeah, we're mad about it. You won 100 games, bro. Just enjoy it. You're a great team. Yes, you fell short in the tournament, but we need to do something about that. Yeah. They need to get away. They need to get away to value that regular season thing. They need to say, whoever has the best record in the National League won the NL pennant. You know what I'm saying? Let's go back to that. Give them something to hang up, not just a division winner. Come on. It's bigger than that. Yes, you get your division winner.
Yeah.
But I want to say, no, I was number one. And imagine what that does to a team who says, oh, that's the champions. Like, you're the champions of the National League. And then that gets you advantages in the tournament, in the postseason, right? It gets you advantages there, like a bye. But you also get an opportunity to win that too and sweep the season.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I totally am on board with that.
All right, so let's go to the next step here. Let's have a little bit of fun. We know nothing will change. But I will subscribe to one thing here. Make specifically those teams, right? Those two teams that get a bye, specifically them. But let's make home field advantage real. Let's make the higher seed, being the higher seed, winning more games in the regular season. Let's make it a real deal. Okay? Let's force teams to not wait for the deadline to push for a championship. Let's make them do it in the off season. And the only way to do that is to not play 4 months without your best team. Go get it in the offseason. Make your trades, make your signings in the offseason, and push. Let's win as many, because we want to get to that pennant. We want that first round bye. So here's what I got for you. All right? Follow with me here, everybody. Here's what I got for you. Here's my proposal. Everybody's making their proposal to changes. You're not going to take any less teams. It's not going to happen. You can never take that away. Once they add a team, they're never going anywhere. Wild card round. First round is 1 or 2 games with a king seat set up. The higher seed is home both games, just like they do now, but they only have to win 1. The lower seed has to double dip the higher seed. So it's like a 3-game series, but you get a 1-0 lead, right? And this way, if all you have to do is, when it's at the end of the year and you're saying like, oh, but I already got it. I'm already in. So I don't need to pass up that next wild card. But no, you need to push to pass up that next wild card team, because if not, you've already lost the game. So you're going to push all the way to the end. Better baseball all the way to the end. You don't want that disadvantage. You have to push for that. And then whoever wins that goes to the divisional round. The divisional round, it's a round of 5. If there are any in-division teams, I don't care you can set up the bracket. Your matchups are going to be seeded. They're always going to be seeded, whoever plays who. Unless, when you get to the division round, if there are 2 teams in the same division, like Houston and Texas, they have to play in the division round. Now, the only time this doesn't work is if there's 3, right? And then you just seed it. And then you say top seed plays bottom seed of who's left. Not a format, but it's of who's left. So just like in football, the second round isn't decided until the first round's over. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So all of that is, you can figure all that out, but it should be in division games. The reason for that is you spread it out over the country, right? Right now we have an American League that is only in one state. How many people are not watching because of that? You've already pulled most of the country away from this when you have 3 West teams in and only 1 East team. You know what I mean? Half the country doesn't even care anymore. You know what I'm saying? And that's, It is what it is. But like I said, I'm not feeling bad for anyone. But I'm just saying, you should do it like the divisional round should be divisional teams. Beat the teams in your division. Right? Okay, mm-hmm. So now that we got that out of the way, the higher seed, the team that got the bye, right? They get their first 3 games at home, back-to-back, right there. 1, 2, 3. You get all 3 games at home before going to the lower seeds city. Now, right now, in the current format, you say, let's go 1-1. Let's go 1-1 in the first 2 games, and now we have the advantage. When Philly went back to Philadelphia, they had the advantage. Home field advantage was erased from the Braves. The only thing they got was a bye. They didn't get anything else. If they could have played 3, they could have went there needing only 1 in Philly. You know what I mean? If they could have went 2-1, then they could go to Philly saying, all we need to do is take 1. That's home field advantage. That's the higher seed and the bye team having an advantage. Also, you only have to have 1 day off. We'll get to that. 3, then 2. If you win a game or 2 as the away team, you've earned the chance to play at home for games 4 and 5. But since you're the lower seed, you have to earn it, right? Let's move on to the championship series. Same thing. Higher seed gets 4 games at home. The final 3 are played at the lower seeds field. World Series can be different. Keep the normal 2-3-2. I think it's fine. They're not competing against each other for records during the regular season. So I think the World Series is fine to keep the 2-3-2 format and make sure that it's the World Series, right? It's an American League and a National League is different. Here's the schedule, and here's why I like this. I think this is important. You talk about the bye and the layoff. Wild card round starts Tuesday. So the regular season ended on Sunday. Wild card round starts Tuesday, scheduled for Tuesday, Wednesday. Divisional round starts Thursday. You want to not be in that wild card? Not only is it that weird thing there, but now you've got to turn right around and get to the next city on Thursday to play the first game. Okay, so that once again, giving that higher seed the actual advantage. Not only that, but like I said, those 3 games, you play back-to-back in the divisional round. So if you're one of those 4 wildcard teams, you've got to play 5 straight games, 5 straight days. I don't feel bad for you either. That's what you do all summer long. That's baseball. Yeah. There's a lot of times you play, and then you go, and then you play again. And if you need to make it a day game because you have to go a little bit further, then make it a day game. Mm-hmm. Not worried about it. And I know they're going to say, well, we can't do that. Well, you already did it. There was games at 3:00 in the wild card round. You know what I mean? So, don't do that. All right. Now, if the home team wins the first game, you get a day off. It's built in, right? So that's not a big deal. It's only if, the away team, the lowest seed, if they earn a second game or not. All right. You get Sunday off, right? It's football day anyway right now. let's get real. You know what I'm saying? Like wild card round or division round of the playoffs, like people are still watching. It's really split. It's football day anyway. Back at it Monday for games 4 and 5 in the divisional series. Okay. Then there's a day, maybe 2 off. Whatever you want to do. The problem with making it 2 off is if you win the first 3 games on Saturday. Like if you finish, you sweep. You're the either team. You win 3 straight games in the divisional round. If you make it 2 days off, you're not playing again until Friday. Well, you just recreated the problem that you had in the first place.
Yeah.
So you're not going to lose a game on purpose, though, right? You still want the 100% chance. So whatever. Friday, Saturday, day off Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, if you wanted to do something like that. Wednesday off, Thursday, Friday, Saturday for games 5, 6, and 7 in the championship series. So this actually builds another day off in there, or you don't have to, right? Then you get Sunday and Monday off. Again, taking a break on Sunday. You get Sunday and Monday off. Start the World Series on Tuesday, Wednesday. Take Thursday off, play Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday off. Games 6 and 7 on Tuesday, Wednesday. So this one you do play Sunday, but this is the World Series.
Right.
People are going to tune into the World Series or football. It just depends on whether they're baseball or football fans. You know what I'm saying? Like, We're at the World Series now. You can compete. So, fine with that. This has less days off. This has, more of that baseball, right? But it also gives, until the World Series, it also gives extreme advantage to the team who played better in the 162. And that's what we want. Because you probably won't ever convince them to give the pennant to the team who has the most wins. So instead, you need to heavily award the playoff advantages to the teams who, I'm going to bring something back. Here's a callback. You guys like comedy? Here's a callback. You award a serious playoff advantage to the teams who played better. I just don't like that argument. So here's the thing. You don't like having to double dip in the wild card round? Play better. Play better. That's my only thing. Play better. Then you don't have to double dip in the wild card round, right? You don't like getting swept in the division series and not getting a home game? Play better. Play better. And not even just in those 3 games. But if you played better in the 162, you'd have had 3 home games. Play better. Because that's when it actually matters. When you say play better in the regular season. Because that's when it can even itself out and you can actually decide who's better. I just talked about the Royals who lost 106 games who, quote unquote, played better than the Astros in Houston in September. And Houston's in the championship series. So don't say play better about a 3-game series because that doesn't matter. Like that can happen at any moment. It's a crapshoot. It's random, all that stuff. When you want to say play better, then do it over the course of 162 and you don't have to go on the road like this. Play better, right? Now that argument actually means something. It's not ridiculous. Any thoughts?
I get that. I don't like that setup.
Why?
I don't like 3 straight home games and then you have to go to the road for 2. I mean, if you basically you're saying either sweep at home or you don't have home field advantage anymore.
No, you get home field advantage because you get the first 3. If you win 2 out of 3, you only have to win 1 at home. Or away, on the road. Right. You only have, and that's what teams are saying right now. With the Phillies in the format that it is now, if you can just take 1 on the road, you now have home field advantage.
I just don't know if I agree with that.
If I take 1, I have 2 games to win at home. I know that you still, but I also just don't like all the days off, right? So you're creating only 1 day off instead of 2. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But because you're the wild card team, you didn't start your ace on game 1. The Braves started their ace game 1, which means game 3 and 4, they don't have their ace, right? But your 1 and 2 are probably pitching on your 2 home games. Or at least one of them, right? So you have the advantage here. Now your top pitchers are going against their secondary pitchers instead of the other way around. So if you're on the road and you play those 3 games, you go to games 4 and 5, you are going to get your top pitchers now. They are going to get to pitch at home for games 4 and 5. But you've earned that by taking one of those games. Or 2 of them, for that matter. But that home team gets that home field advantage for those first 3 games, and there's no way that you get to see their 1 or 2 pitchers. Maybe their second pitcher. If they win the first game, if they're that, you know what I mean, you might get there, but you won't see their ace until you go back to their field. So you have an opportunity there. You know what I mean? And in a lot of cases, if you're a really good team and you've got, even Philly, they've got 2 guys at the top of their rotation. With Nola and Wheeler, not many teams have that, right? Not many teams do that are coming into that situation. You know what I'm saying? So, and if they do, then they're built for that. And I think that's it for Philly. I think they're just built for the postseason.
Right.
You know what I mean? But anyway, you did give, you understand what I'm saying with I just get so tired of hearing somebody say play better. Anything can happen in one day.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that you play like one guy, like Clayton Kershaw had a bad game, took the Dodgers out of it. That doesn't mean that the whole Dodgers organization played bad for one day. You know what I'm saying? One guy did. And that's why 162 makes such a bigger deal there, because you get an opportunity for the collective to play better, not in a 3-game series. That has nothing to do with it. And like I said, football's different. You prepare all week for Sunday.
Right.
And so it's a completely different animal.
Right.
When you say play better in football, I subscribe to that, because you had all week to do it.
Right. You have to put a game plan together. You have to execute better.
Right. And you did that all year. That is the way your sport is played, where baseball is not played that way. So to say play better in a 3-game series when it's just different. Like that's how you played all year. But you had, like I said, the Royals swept. They won 5 out of 6 in a matter of 8 days. But look at the way it was. They're separated by 40 wins over the course of 162. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
I don't know if 40 is the right number either. Math. Ultimately, here's what it comes down to, man. Baseball's not fair. It never has been. It never will be. Actually, sports are not fair. None of it. Right? It's just not. Because somebody could perform. Somebody could do something out of the ordinary any day. I can't say that there's a sport where the best team wins 100% of the time. And if that was the case, there wouldn't even be playoffs, because we already know who's going to win.
Right.
Specifically baseball. We would already know, because we already know who the best teams are. Now, granted, injuries, things like that can happen, and that could change some of those, but you understand what I'm saying.
Right.
The fact that, I said earlier about Rosati bringing up March Madness, that's probably the single biggest example. There's probably no better example than that, because you actually have a bad team that can beat a number 1 seed. Like a team that's actually bad, and then turn around the next game and get crushed because they didn't have any business being there. You know what I'm saying? But on that one day, they knocked out the number 1 or number 2 seed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They had their magical moment. It happens. Life's not fair. And he also brought up what you said too about the less than desirable teams ending up in the finals. And you're kind of like, wow, it's fun while it lasted, but now I got to watch this. Do you think teams would rather see the Dodgers and the Braves in the championship series? You think that baseball fans be like, I want to see those guys go at it?
I mean, yeah. I like this is where I'm almost doubling back, but I'm trying to tread carefully so that I'm not doubling back on what I've already said. But I do like the wild card teams just go there. I mean, I do like to see them advance. I do like to see the underdog get the victory.
Mm-hmm.
Like to see the upsets.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think that sometimes I don't like seeing the upsets created. I don't like seeing the better team put into a disadvantage to make it the opportunity for the upset to happen more frequently.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I think it
I'm
does.
trying not to double back.
Well,
I
but
want to see the best teams advance. On the other hand, I don't mind seeing an underdog advance either.
let me ask you this. Let me put it this way and see if this is maybe the path you're going. And we're out of time here, but like I said, the real ones, they're hanging out with us. So everybody else has already turned it off. The team who put in the work, whether that means spending money, dealing away prospects, that's actually, that's a sacrifice. You know what I mean? That's a risk. Dealing away prospects, putting in the work, playing hard, staying healthy. Those are skills. We know this, right? It's hard to stay healthy, and people are intentional about doing it. And if they can, that's a kudos. That's not just a luck thing. That's kudos too. But staying healthy, putting in the work, winning games, you earn something.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like what you're saying is there should be something that you earn. And so while you do like the underdog, you're also saying like, yeah, but I also do, I respect it. So what you're saying is I don't have to do those things. I can sneak in, be the underdog, not get rid of not take that risk of getting rid of prospects, not lower my profit margin by buying Trey Turner or, you know what I mean? It's funny because they're a wild card team, but they're not though. They're a team that went all in, right?
Yeah.
They've went all in. Most of their team is built off of free agency, right? The Phillies are a team built for the postseason. You could say the Padres and the Mets as well, even though they're not there. The Padres had a slight chance of getting in as that quote unquote underdog team with the highest payroll in baseball. Well, no, the Mets. So one of the highest payrolls in baseball. You know what I'm saying? So in a way, they wouldn't even be an underdog story, much like the Phillies really aren't either, right? I mean, I told you at the beginning of the year, it was going to be Philly or Atlanta. Because to me, those were the teams. And, obviously San Diego and Mets and Dodgers are all in that too. But I really liked what Philly was doing. And yes, they went out and they made an effort.
So I watched that game a little bit closer, or that series a little bit closer, being that Ashley's the Braves fan and all that. And what I seen in that series, it wasn't even 100% of a disadvantage of the Braves having that layoff.
Mm-hmm.
It was one team playing with all the heart in the world, and the other team looking like they didn't have any care in the world. They just assumed they should just breeze through this series. And I really thought it was interesting to see a Braves team win was 100 plus. I don't even care what the number is. 104 wins, and then they just went into the postseason and they were just, just more games.
Now, granted, the Phillies were a 90-72 team, which is the same as the division leading Astros, right? So it's not like they were, same as the Rangers. They were 90-72. So we're looking at 90 win teams there, with the exception of the Diamondbacks, who are an 84 win team. And so, and the Marlins were an 84 win team too. And I will tell you this, the Diamondbacks were always a better 84 win team than the Marlins were. I've said it over and over again. I didn't think the Marlins were that good.
Yeah.
The Diamondbacks a little bit different. They actually have young pitching. Corbin Carroll is the real deal, man. Mm-hmm. And he's made a huge impact on this team. And he had a super long, really bad streak, right? And it hurt their team. And he's back and doing damage, and they're young and they're exciting. And so, but at the same time, they could have added. They're in Phoenix. It's not like they're in a small place. You know what I'm saying? So, whatever. I'm not getting into markets and money and all that. Like it's not the point of this. The point is like they snuck in. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They snuck in. If it wasn't for the Cubs falling apart, they wouldn't even have got in. Well, I guess one of those teams wouldn't have got in, right?
Right.
But either way, I don't know, man. Obviously, this is just a fun thing.
Yeah.
They're not going to make any changes. They're just not. And they shouldn't. You've got to see, this has been 2 years. Watch this thing play out over 10 years.
Yeah.
See how it unfolds. Right now, it's not a big percentage of bye teams that are moving on. But after 10 years, you might find out it's more. You know what I'm saying? Right. There might be 60% of the teams with a bye who are moving on. And even then, I'd be like, advantage. Not a big one, but these are the playoffs. These are a tournament style thing. I really think that if you don't do something to incentivize winning more games than everybody else, then teams are going to continue to do what the Pirates are hopefully. I mean, because we're not even there yet. But like you look at the Rays. I mean, the Rays obviously won 99 games this year, but because of a hot start. They weren't actually that good of a team after that. They just got such a good start that they were able to maintain that. I mean, you could say the same about the Diamondbacks. They were a really good team after the first half, and then they played under 500 for the second half and snuck in. Did they make a push? I don't really know. I don't feel like they did. I don't know why the Blue Jays made the trade that they did with them. Felt like they gave them 2 good players and they got Gary Varsho's kid out of it. And I was like, I didn't really understand that move at all. We talked about that in the offseason. I'm like, you just gave away that. Moreno?
Yeah.
I thought he was the one guy you couldn't get. But either way, I don't know. Does this create more teams doing what DePoto says? Now, I'll say this about DePoto. He's not wrong.
No.
This format is going to work right now with all these teams making it in the postseason. This whole 85, 87 wins, you strike a little bit hot. Where were they at this year? Where did the Mariners finish with? The Mariners finished with 88 wins. There are 3 playoff teams worse than them. The Twins, 87, the Diamondbacks and Marlins, 84 wins. The Mariners were at 88 wins and just missed. Right? So you just get to 90 and you're in. You get to 89 and you're in. Actually, maybe not because it depends on the tiebreaker with the Blue Jays, but you get to 2 more wins over the course of 162, just 2 more, and you're in.
Yeah.
If I'm that team, I say, I think I'm going to battle with this team again because we might be able to get 2 more wins if so-and-so doesn't get hurt, if this guy doesn't have 2 bad starts. Right. We add one piece to this team, and I can get 2 wins out of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you pick up a 3-WAR player and you're there.
Well, yeah. Or don't trade Seawald. This team dealt away their closer to the Diamondbacks in the middle of the deadline. If you just don't get rid of him, do you maybe make it? But here's the thing. Yeah. You got pieces to build in that deal. Right. You made a move, and you were close. If they keep doing that, they're going to find their way in. The problem I had with his conversation is when he said he's doing the fan base a favor. I'm sorry, you've never won a World Series. You're not doing anybody a favor. I can say that we think we have a good recipe to be in it every single year, and the Mariners had a great season, a very exciting season. 88 wins is a good season. You just missed in the playoffs. You're Pythagorean, whatever I don't know why I can't say that word, by the way. I stood up there with Katie earlier today saying, how do you pronounce that? And she would say it, and I would try to say it. And I'm usually pretty good at pronouncing things. I can't figure it out. Anyway, it has them at 91 and 71. You know what I'm saying? Based on their run differential. They could have been in. Mm-hmm. So The main idea here is, which would you rather have, the real ones who are still listening to us? Would you rather be in it every year and have exciting summers, going to the ballpark with them having a chance every single day to win? And have it real exciting, nail biter at the end of the year? Are we getting in or are we not getting in? Are we pushing? Do we make one little deal like a Marlon Byrd or a Justin Morneau? Right? Do we make one of those types of deals just to maybe get us over the edge? 2 more wins? Something exciting? Maybe if somebody got hurt, you replace that guy? You know what I mean? Think about it. Just think about the Pirates being in a position where they were like, Cruz got hurt 9 games in. Maybe in June they make a move for a shortstop. You know what I mean? Just one of those. Not necessarily going all in and signing a $300 million player in the offseason, but maybe doing things like that to try to get in. You know what I mean? Is that something that you guys would like to see? Because I got to tell you, it'd be a lot more fun every single summer.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's like, if you end up like the Mariners and you do that for 10 years and you have no World Series championship and you look back and you say, man, if we could have just went all in one of those years. Because I'll say the other thing, and Jim brought this up on the fan forum. You get that one championship and you never stop talking about it. Or maybe that was NS9. Either way, one of them said, you talk about that for a long time. You hang that thing up and you say, yeah, we got it, right?
Yeah.
And so I say the same thing about the regular season. Like if the Braves could hang a pennant up, National League pennant up for winning 104 games, they can look back at 2023, one of the most exciting and best offenses we've ever seen in our lifetime.
Yeah.
And you can say that season wasn't all trash. But now you're one and done in the playoffs, and you might say, boy, what an opportunity we wasted. Mm-hmm. And it shouldn't be like that. They were really good, beginning to end. That should be celebrated, what they did this year. I think there should be, you know what I'm saying? I think there should be something that they have for that, more than just a bye and not real home field advantage. Give them those 3 games at home. Give them more of a home and the fact that they're playing a team who didn't even get a day off, but maybe. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know. I think it's fun to talk about, but I don't think it'll change. But I do think that the regular season thing could. They could incentivize a little bit more. Maybe the team who ends with the highest record gets a bonus. Throw some money at them. Maybe the team who ends up 104, or the team who ends up with the best record, you get the last pick of the draft. Well, maybe. You have to win the World Series, right? Give them a compensatory pick because they finished. They're giving all kinds of draft picks out these days. If you have the most wins in the National American League, you get an extra draft pick at the end of the first round.
I do like that.
Right before the second round starts, you get another pick.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Give them some sort of incentive to win all of those games and go all in.
Yeah.
Give the Pirates a reason to say, we'll sign 3 players this year because we think our window's opening. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Something like that. I don't know. I don't know what it takes. I think this is an interesting conversation, though, and I'm glad that we decided to still go through with it. Because I know that everybody else has had their thing to say. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I don't want it to be like tiresome, like, oh, another podcast where they're talking about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I thought it was a fun exercise and a good discussion to be a part of. Mm-hmm. I don't feel bad for teams who win in the tournament. I don't. There is a little bit of me that feels bad for walking away with nothing after being that good all year.
Right.
But I don't think that nothing is a tournament. Like, dude, this is a tournament. That's the way it goes.
Yep.
And it's not play better because they did play better. They should get something for it. But right now, there's nothing for it. This is the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really know. And I especially don't feel bad for the Braves because I think the Phillies are really good.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like they lost to
the Diamondbacks.
Right. I mean, the Phillies are good, and they always seem to get hot at the right time.
Yep. Well, and like I said, because they're built for it. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? They're just built for it.
Yeah.
Okay, you got a pick? You got a pick for who wins? Let's do ALCS first. Rangers, Astros. Who's your pick?
I want the Rangers to win.
Okay, we should say that. I want the Rangers to win too. Because I feel like they're a team that went for it.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick them too. You're picking the Astros?
Yeah.
Okay. NL?
Phillies.
Yeah, I have to go with the Phillies. I picked them to win the World Series at the preseason. So I said that the Braves and Phillies will play each other, and the winner of that will win the World Series. So I can't go back on that. I have to continue to pick them because I'm still in. So, all right. Let's go Bucks.
Let's go Bucks.
Thanks for listening to my dad and Uncle Jake on the Bridge to Buctober podcast. Follow them on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Bridge2Buctober. Don't forget to subscribe so you know when new episodes are released. Clear the deck, cannonball coming, and let's go Bucks!